Welcome to Medidia. This is your host Umar Tariq. Assalamu alaikum. So, continuing with our resilience series, we have this new episode. Let's take a moment and talk about कि career और family में से अगर आपको कोई एक चीज पिक करनी हो तो किसको पिक करना चाहिए? आपको कभी किसी एक को पिक नहीं करना चाहिए, हमेशा दोनों को इकट्ठे साथ लेकर चलना चाहिए, इररिस्पेक्टिव कि आप लड़का हो, लड़की हो, मेल हो, फीमेल हो, फादर हो, मदर हो. आई थिंक ये दोनों साथ साथ चलती हैं, दोनों को आपको साथ के लेके चलना पड़ता है. दोनों में से कभी किसी को पिक नहीं कर सकते, आप एक को दूसरे पे प्रायोरिटाइज नहीं कर सकते. यू हैव टू ट्राई टू मेंटेन द बेस्ट फाइन बैलेंस दैट यू कैन मेंटेन बिटवीन बोथ ऑफ देम. And I was thinking कि हम में से बहुत लोग हैं जिनके who have kids during training. We had it, and a lot of others do, and they don't realize, बहुत से लोग जो भी अभी जर्नी पे शुरू नहीं हुए, कि when is the right time to have kids, when is the right time to get married, when is the right time to do. There is no right time. It happens and you make it work. It is pretty tough, no matter what. It is incredibly tough to do residency, to do fellowship, to do all that with the family, especially with kids, and you make it work. So I thought on that note, it will be nice if we can have someone who did her training along with kids or baby, and she could talk about how tough it was to manage kids especially during residency training, or क्या issues थे. I'm recording this after her interview, and it's funny to the point कि interview में भी she couldn't do an interview without her kids और बच्चों को साथ आना पड़ा, and that is the life, and I apologize in advance for all the noise of the babies and all, but at the same time you gotta commend, appreciate, and respect her dedication to the cause. Even with a baby in her lap, she did this interview. On that note, we have Dr. Mariam Shakil. अस्सलाम वालेकुम मरीम, भाभी कैसी हैं आप?
अस्सलाम भाई, कैसे हैं आप?
अल्लाह का करम जी, अल्लाह का करम. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर डूइंग दिस. आई रियली अप्रिशिएट दैट. सुबह सुबह आप और मैं बच्चों से बच के छुप के ये इंटरव्यू कर रहे हैं.
No, thank you so much, Umar bhai. I hope anyone who's out there would get a little bit of guidance from it. Because it is tough. मतलब कि, to be honest, being married or having kids and doing all this together is tough. Because you have to juggle a lot between social life, your house, and studies and job at the same time. No matter what, in whichever field you are, I think for a woman, her priority from society also and for yourself would always be that your family comes first and your house comes first. So you cannot ignore these two things going into a career. You cannot just make a career your own focus. Which I kind of feel that people differ, but I think that is what a lot is expected from a woman.
And it's both. मेरा ख्याल है, even if there is a man who is just focusing on one part, career, or even or family, that's both wrong. Like that's wrong for both of them. चाहे लड़का हो, चाहे लड़की हो, बंदा हो, बंदी हो, आप अगर एक ही तरफ अपना फोकस रखते हो कि चाहे कैरियर है या फैमिली है, और आप दूसरे को कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लेते हो, दोनों को साथ साथ लेके चलना है.
बिल्कुल. No doubt.
So for those people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? Where did you go for med school? And then your journey from there till today.
So I am from Rawalpindi, and I did my med school from Rawalpindi Medical College. I did my OA levels from there too. So getting into med school was a challenge. खासकर जब आप OA levels करते हो to getting into med school, because coming out of so much with people is a big deal. मैं actually था कि मैं med school में नहीं, मैं था do engineering because I got into UET the same year. I had maths. Actually, my maths was better than my biology. But alhamdulillah, I got into, I think that was meant to be, so I got into Rawalpindi Medical College, and then the journey continued from there.
When did you graduate?
I graduated in 2013.
अच्छा, 2013 में RMC से graduate किया. अब वहाँ से अपना जर्नी बताओ कि आप 2013 से अब तक क्या किया, लाइफ कैसे रही, क्या क्या आप करते नहीं?
So initially I started my house job. तो मतलब कि उसके within like a couple of months I got engaged, and it was कि भाई steps करने हैं, मतलब कि US आना है, because my husband was here. But I didn't want to do a house job. I was like कि यार कुछ तो करके जाए मुल्क के लिए. कुछ तो मतलब कि जिस मुल्क ने इतना अप्लाई किया कुछ तो मतलब सर्व कर जाए. So I did my house job, and then in 2014 I came to US after marriage. So uske baad, like I think it took me some time to settle down. It takes some time, मतलब family से भी and everything, to start getting to study again. So I think at the end of 2014 I started, like December से मैंने पढ़ना शुरू किया. So I think biggest thing going into for anyone who gets like क्योंकि आप जब यहाँ पे आए तो you lose the study partners that you have in house job or during MBBS, and I was a person जिसको study partners के साथ पढ़ने की बहुत आदत थी. तो बिल्कुल अकेले पढ़ना मुझे बहुत डिप्रेसिंग भी लगता था और बहुत मुश्किल भी लगता था. तो एंड मुझे इतनी अवेयरनेस नहीं थी, you can get study partners online and all that stuff. तो बस मुझे मतलब कि था कि यार फिर I just set goals for me कि यार मुझे I had to within like a year, less than a year I had to do my steps. तो मैं कभी पाकिस्तान नहीं गई. सबसे पहले मैं पाकिस्तान नहीं गई थी. मैंने कहा था कि यार मैं पाकिस्तान चली गई तो मैं उसी चक्रों में रहूंगी, फिर वापस आऊंगी, फिर डिप्रेस्ड होंगी, फिर मतलब कि तो मैं I never went to Pakistan. I was like my goal is just to get with my steps and then I'll go to Pakistan. So I did my step one eventually in 2015, मतलब कि मैंने दे दिया था तब, and बीच में थोड़ी बहुत observerships वगैरह जहाँ पे भी जो भी मिलता था you just take it up. So in 2015 I gave my first step. I did not have like a really high scores, but I had an average score in 240s. I think it was roughly 244. So then I had like only like 5 to 6 months span time. मुझे था कि यार अब 2016 का मैच लेना है तो मतलब अप्लाई कर देना है. तो एंड साथ ऑब्जर्वेशंस भी कुछ करनी थी. तो देन आई टेक माई स्टेप टू CS रफली लाइक आफ्टर 5 months. और मैंने कोई MB नहीं लिया था, MBME नहीं लिया था क्योंकि माई हस्बैंड वाज लाइक कि यार अगर तुमने मैच अप्लाई करना है, स्टेप टू देना ही देना है, तो इट डजंट मैटर जब क्या स्कोर आता है, तो जस्ट टेक इट. तो आई जस्ट टेक माई स्टेप 2 एंड आई थिंक आई हैड लाइक 246 in that. So then after that I took my CS, and उसके बाद फिर I just did some observership in New York, in a good I mean कि कुछ good LORs वहाँ से मिलते थे. So फिर I ended up applying in residency that same year, 2016 September. So going through interviews was a little bit tough because then I was expecting, and I was in my first trimester. So most of the interviews, I would be throwing up all night and I would just go for the interview. And Emma would be like, are you sure you can go and do an interview? You were up all night. So मगर मेरे ख्याल से अल्लाह मुश्किल डालता है तो अल्लाह आसान भी कर देता है. So I had a good couple of interviews. More mainly were from New York. मगर मुझे था कि New York से हमें बाहर निकलना था. So because we were about to have a kid and everything. So फिर हम लोग at the end of the day, we put a match list, and alhamdulillah, I matched again on my first rank program. So उसके बाद I think the for me the tougher thing was after residency because I had Momina in June, and my residency was supposed to start on 19th of June. अब मेरा वीजा स्टेटस यहाँ से चेंज था फ्रॉम H4 to J1. मैंने स्टेप 3 नहीं लिया था because I couldn't take step 3. I was not feeling that well enough.
अच्छा, you switched from H4 to H1 because Ahmed he did his residency on H1.
He did H1B and then he got H1B over in the same program, Geisinger. So उनका मतलब कि he is on a green card and I am on a paper. So it's very different now. तो फिर इस तरह के then I had Momina. मगर between this conversion, I think उस वक्त Trump administration set in 2016 के end में. So all the visas were delayed. Processing was delayed in America. Okay, by the time I filed for my application, it was March, and they were processing the applications from October and November. So by the time my application came to review, it was already October and got approved. मगर वो एक 4-5 महीने का time period था जब मुझे बहुत मतलब कि anxiety थी और depression था कि यार अब मतलब कि after all this struggle will I will not be able to get it. मतलब कि मेरी residency चले जाएगा वो सब कुछ. But alhamdulillah, the program was okay, we will just wait for a month more till November. If you don't get it, then you can start the next cycle. तो मुझे लगता है उसमें अल्लाह की बेहतरी थी क्योंकि मुझे तब तो नहीं एहसास हुआ था, मगर now I look back, मुझे लगता है कि I got those 5 months with my newborn child. तो I spent some मतलब कि वो एक time मिल गया कि she was like 5 months old when I started my residency. तो रेजिडेंसी का जो फर्स्ट ईयर होता है मुझे लगता है सबके लिए बहुत टफ होता है, इवन इफ इज एन एएमजी आईएमजी दूर के बाद एएमजी के लिए भी गेटिंग टू नो ईएमआर सिस्टम वगैरह इट इज टफ. So definitely, and for an IMG, it is a little bit more of a challenge. मेरे लिए थोड़ा सा इसलिए ज़्यादा मुश्किल था क्योंकि मैंने जब स्टार्ट किया तो तब almost all of my colleagues were like 4.5 months into residency itself. And I never had a proper orientation. Most of the time I had to figure out things myself. Attendances लगानी है, ये कैसे करना है. मतलब कि I used to remember everyone would go into either this conference room or that conference room, and I was like, after a month, I was like, yeah, how do you guys get to know about it? Which conference room it is? And they're like, oh, are you not in that group? And so they were things that I had to figure out myself because I never got a proper orientation or वो proper study था. Even in a month into residency, most of the attendings were expecting that now you should be the same level of all of your other colleagues. So that was quite a bit of like a steep, मतलब आपको था एक steep learning curve होगा कि you have to catch up with all your colleagues and all that. उसके साथ initially मतलब कि I did not had an any. मुझे याद है अभी भी जब मैं पहले दिन सिर्फ 4 घंटे के लिए गई थी और मतलब के orientation के लिए for my epic training, तो मैं वापस आई थी. I was crying and I hugged her. I hugged my child Momina कि मुझे लगा था कि यार how would I be able to do and leave her like such a small child. तो फिर खैर मतलब कि हिम्मत आ जाती है. एंड कुछ जब मेरे फादर मेरे पास थे तो मैं बल्कि आफ्टर 12 hours to 13 hours की शिफ्ट के बाद मैं घर आती थी. आई टू कुक फूड. उसके साथ मतलब मैं अपनी मोमना के साथ बैठाती थी उसकी चेयर पे. आई यूज्ड टू कुक फूड एंड आई यूज्ड टू like spend some time and make food at the same time. I think most of the residency was इस तरह से मतलब कि अनएम्प्लॉयड होते थे क्योंकि आपको पता था आप घर आते थे. यू डोंट नीड टू गेट अ डेडिकेटेड टाइम टू रेस्ट. आपको पता था कि यार जो के पास टाइम है अपने बच्चे के साथ स्पेंड करो. So I think on an average मैं खासे 4 से 5 घंटे I slept most of my residency. मैं chronically sleep deprived. मतलब कि रहने की मुझे काफ़ी आदत हो गई थी. मगर फिर I mean then I took my step 3 I think in my when I was in मतलब सेकेंड ईयर में थी. and I had to give it. मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं थी. मैं डिले नहीं कर सकती थी. मैं जब पढ़ने का बिल्कुल कोई टाइम नहीं था. मतलब कि ये था कि रेजिडेंसी में जो भी मैं पढ़ सकती थी वो मुझे जो भी ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम आई वाज ड्यूरिंग इन माय लाइक वहाँ पे हॉस्पिटल में मैं वो जो पढ़ सकती थी आप पढ़ सकते थे. मतलब कि आईसीयू में मुझे ज़्यादा मेरी रोटेशन से मैंने स्टेप 3 लिया था. तो आई डिड नॉट. आई थिंक दैट वाज द फर्स्ट स्टेप जिसमें मैंने मतलब कि 20% तैयारी के साथ में बस देने चली गई थी. अल्लाह का नाम लेके कि यार चलो let's give it. I don't have an option, but still alhamdulillah I ended up मेरे ख्याल से maybe doing residency helped in like getting a good score in it. So फिर like I mean
कितना स्कोर
I
था?
think it was I had 222.
सही है, बहुत अच्छा था. सही है.
Yeah. So I mean I was not expecting. मैं था बस पास हो जाऊँ क्योंकि मैंने बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ा था उसके लिए. I had like मुझे याद है मैं I bought step 3 U World और मेरे ख्याल से उसमें मैंने कोई 20% भी क्वेश्चंस नहीं किए थे उसके. मुझे मतलब बिल्कुल टाइम नहीं मिला था. तो and I had to do it in my step मतलब के second year. और उन्होंने कहा था जब मैंने उनसे पूछा मैं do you mean my second year because my second year would end up in October, but they said no, we want you to take it before June. Your result to be before June. तो मैं चलो इतना तो टाइम पीरियड हुआ था. आई टुक इट इन मार्च. तो अप्रैल में रिजल्ट आ गया था. तो मुझे इतना टाइम पीरियड तो हो कि खुदा ना खासे फंसना का टाइम टू टेक इट अगेन.
they told me the same thing. मुझे नहीं
मगर
पता था. मुझे भी इन्होंने यही कहा था कि if you don't take it by June then you don't graduate, you're not promoted to the next year. और
और
मेरा
मैं
रिजल्ट
बल्कि
जुलाई में आया था. तो इसी वजह से
really?
फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम मेरे साथ प्रमोट नहीं करते थे. मुझे पीजी जुलाई का महीना ना मैं पिछली क्लास से अपनी क्लास से पीछे होता था 1 महीने के लिए. फिर मुझे अगस्त में आगे करते थे जब तक ट्रेनिंग नहीं खत्म हुई.
Really, मुझे बल्कि funny thing was I was like my residence started in October. So do you mean my second year start because it should be in October? But they were like no, जब सबका होता है. तो I think it was a big मतलब कि ऑफ साइकिल होने का काफी थोड़े मुझे इश्यू से फेस करने पड़े थे कि हर चीज मेरे लिए ऑफ साइकिल थी. तो मगर आई थिंक वक्त गुजर जाता है. मतलब कि कभी somebody asked me कि भाई what is the right time, मतलब कि बच्चा पहले हो जाना चाहिए बाद में होना चाहिए साथ होना चाहिए. मेरे ख्याल से किसी चीज का सही वक्त नहीं है. there's no right time for anything. You just make that time right for your kid and your family. मतलब you make it. Some people would say कि पहले बच्चे हो जाए फिर आप मतलब के रेजिडेंसी स्टार्ट करो, कुछ लोग कहते हैं 7 अगर बच्चे हो जाए, या फिर कुछ लोग कहते हैं रेजिडेंसी का वेट करते टू स्टार्ट अ फैमिली। आई थिंक हर टाइम के अपने प्रोज होंगे, अपने कॉन्स होंगे। देयर इज नो राइट एंड रॉन्ग इन कब क्या होना चाहिए, क्या होना चाहिए, and you just make things work as you go along in life. um so in sad balki you have to, like, you know, I have a very big, like, you know, my in-laws are here and everything, so I have a very big social circle here, so I had to maintain a social circle with all of these things going on. अब आप भी जानते हैं जंगल में भी हमारा था, and I used to be like, yeah, no, we have to be a part of it. तो तो वो वक्त गुजर जाता है. I mean, my story is not, I think, extraordinary from any of the women who have been working and who have a family. But I think for people who are looking into like taking steps or have already a family, then I think just go for it. You know, just start, मतलब कि start your process, पढ़ना शुरू करें, and don't think कि भाई अभी बच्चे बड़े हो जाएं, या फिर if you don't have a family, don't wait कि भाई मैं पहले रेजिडेंसी कर लूँ तो फिर बच्चे, क्योंकि हर एक के अपने एक pros and cons होते हैं. You get along, मतलब कि you just, you know, these things as you go. So then I think in the third year of my residency, I was expecting again with my second child, and I had her almost at the end of my third year. Like I was almost done, so I had like some elective time left and some vacation time left, जो मैंने नहीं लिया था throughout third year. So which was another, क्योंकि जब we moved in June over here, मतलब कि my husband moved in June over here. So in July and August, I mean, I was to and fro from, like, you know, Geisinger, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. Which one, Rama?
Dekho, before we proceed, we need to give a big appreciation to Dr. Mariam Shakil. Mariam भाभी जो हैं वो अपनी बच्ची गोद में लेके अभी इंटरव्यू करना चाह रही हैं. I gave her the option कि ब्रेक ले लें, हम फिर कर लें, लेकिन कहती नहीं.
It will not happen. मेरा दूसरा भी पीस उठ जाएगा और फिर दोनों के साथ करना पड़ेगा.
नहीं, सही है, ऐसा ही है. चलो सही है. तो आप अभी थर्ड ईयर का बता रही थी अपनी, third year mein you had
so
her,
third
mashallah.
year, like, I mean, I had her actually in August, and my residency finished in October. So I had that maternity leave time and some vacation time before. So I mean, I didn't have to go back, so which was a good thing. I didn't take my boards yet. I have to take them because I was off cycle, so I couldn't take. वो हर चीज फिर मेरे लिए off cycle हो जाती है, so I couldn't take my boards, and I could not even apply for like I couldn't apply for fellowship because of the same reason. So, but I think maybe it's a good thing, because I think maybe I would have some downtime with my kids before I getting into fellowship again. So, it's always like, I think it's life is in a rush right now. I work 1 week, I work, and 1 week I just, you know, catch up of all the home things for the next week. I just do like cooking for the next 2 weeks. And then, you know, doing all the stuff and all the home stuff. तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी शायद ना भी fellowship में like अच्छा था, क्योंकि now my husband is doing fellowship, so he's busy. He's quite busy these days. So at least one of us has more time for the kids और घर के काम वगैरह. तो इसलिए.
सही. Thanks for sharing that. तो मुझे ये बताओ, you did your residency on H1 or J1?
I did my residency in J1 because, as I said, I didn't take my
H4 to
J1. Yeah, because I didn't take my step 3 till my residency.
Otherwise, they would have given you H1.
Otherwise, they would have given me H1. Yep.
अच्छा. So
जो
did you
मेरे
try?
ख्याल से बहुत बड़ा एक regret है, मगर so that's what I'll actually say to most of the people. कि just, you know, मतलब कि it's better to give your steps before, you know, residency starts. क्योंकि residency के साथ थोड़ा आपको मतलब कि if you have kids वगैरह तो बहुत मुश्किल होता है स्टडी. मतलब कि मुझे तो बिल्कुल स्टडी करने का टाइम नहीं मिलता था. कभी कोई ट्रेनिंग के लिए कुछ भी नहीं मिलता था. जो भी होता था कि लाइक आप डूइंग वर्क अप टू डेट सर्च के लिए कुछ कर लिया, तो वही जो आपकी नॉलेज होती थी ना, वही आपकी नॉलेज होती थी. कोई एक्स्ट्रा डेडिकेटेड टाइम पढ़ने का नहीं मिलता था. कभी मैंने बीच में एक दफ़ा कोशिश की थी कि मैं चलो थोड़ी देर लाइब्रेरी चली जाऊँ ड्यूरिंग वर्क आवर्स वगैरह, मगर फिर you're always in a rush to go home कि भाई बच्चे हैं घर पे, बच्चा घर पे, चलो let's go, तो बच्चा आपका वेट कर रहा है, तो वो इतना उसका नहीं आपको टाइम मिल पाता. preparation का किसी training का मुझे time नहीं मिला. But alhamdulillah, I mean, I had like मतलब कि हर एग्जाम I did like good. शायद अल्लाह आसानियाँ भी करते हैं, मुझे लगता है आपकी मुश्किल आती है तो आसानी हो जाती है, तो इसलिए.
अच्छा, आपको ऑब्जर्वरशिप कैसे मिली थी?
So observership was actually very challenging. Most of the people ask me, so I think I got it most to be honest, out of context. Just I did in MS, I did in Mount Sinai in MS program, but that was because it was his program, so his PG, like give me that favor of like doing it in his program. And I think जब आप बल्कि residency के apply करते हो हर चीज for FL के हर चीज बहुत matter करती है. My husband was also like, if you don't get good scores, I don't think I can push your CV to anyone. उस कोर्स के अलावा good LORs, कुछ observerships, वो सब चीजें मुझे लगता है थोड़ी बहुत contribute towards your CV. And at the end of the day, your interview skills, I think बहुत ज़्यादा matter करते हैं. अगर आपका good CV हो मगर आपको interview skills आपके if you lag behind, so it just leaves a bad impression. You need to be, and you don't need to, by interview skills, I don't mean that you have to be like an extraordinary spokesperson. You just have to be friendly, because I think what the program is looking into you is if you are a team player, if you're friendly. So they observe you a lot in many aspects. जब आप जाते हो interview के लिए, so they see how you mingle with other interviewees, how you mingle with their residents, how do you mingle with their leadership in the programs. So I think if you are confident enough, you speak, and you don't have to speak retired stuff. If you even speak out of your mind,
be spontaneous.
Be spontaneous. They actually, I think they really like that. Even when I remember when I had my interview with Jodie Reader for this program, तो मुझे सबसे बड़ा benefit ये था कि when she spoke, she was the first, I think she was the only interviewer I had who wanted to talk to me about my personal statement a lot. And in my personal statement, I definitely had my mom, who was actually kind of my role model. So in it, so and she was like, we spontaneously talked about, the hardships and everything. And she was like, it was a very candid interview. So I never really, मतलब कि मैं lines वगैरह याद है उसमें क्योंकि नहीं करती क्योंकि मेरा रट्टा कभी इतना अच्छा नहीं था. So it was always an interview was spontaneous, no matter where I went. So मतलब कि I think that is the bigger thing. When you go there, be friendly, be somebody who gel into people. वो ये लोग चीज़ बहुत देख लेते हैं because they are looking into a person who joins their program as a person who can be a part of their like residency family, not just like who will be good at like seeing patients, because they want somebody who's a team player. So I think that is the biggest thing when you go for their interview dinners and everything, you should just be somebody who's very like easy to talk to, approachable, and I think वो चीज़ें बहुत matter करती हैं when you go for an interview.
सही. तो मुझे ये बताइए कि अब how complicated was the process of switching from H4 to J1?
As I said, कि मेरा तो मसला ये था, maybe अगर शायद अगर मतलब पूरी leadership change हो गई थी जब I think 2016 के end में Trump administration came, तो तब सारे वो I don't think so it's normally that difficult, but I think what offset my visa was कि तब उन लोगों ने सब application processing stop हो गई थी. For quite some time they were not processing it because of this whole change in administration. So when I मतलब कि had my visa application, to I remember I called them in April, March. They were like, you know what, it's not you. It's not that your visa went into processing. It's just because they're not even there yet. They have not even started processing your application yet. So वो एक मतलब कि था it was not that it was not about, I don't think so people would face a lot of difficulty if they have to get it switched. I think it's more because of the fact कि वो एक time उस वक्त ऐसा था कि मैंने apply किया था. It was not good.
सही. माशाल्लाह, I really
She also wants to
appreciate.
speak.
हाँ बिल्कुल.
She also want to interview.
हाँ, नहीं उसको ऐड करेंगे. तो अच्छा, मुझे ये बताइए कि अब माशाल्लाह जो आपकी बड़ी बेटी है मोमिना, तो who was taking care of Momina throughout your residency?
So initially we tried hiring nannies a lot. मैं खासा बहुत जानते हैं. We tried initially काफी हमने nannies hire करने की कोशिश की.
Nannies के लिए ना आप लोग और हम लोग रकीब होते थे.
I know, मगर I'm glad कि you guys got a very good nanny. तो मगर I was fortunate enough कि कभी मुझे याद है कि it was I think मोमना के साथ चैलेंज था कि कभी उसकी नाना आ जाती थी, कभी उसका फिर नाना बुआ आते थे, कभी उसके फिर दादा दादी आते थे. फिर उस टाइप में हर 4-5 months बाद ना मुझे बल्कि थोड़ा सा होता था कि हेल्थ से सेपरेशन एंजाइटी ना हो जाए. इतने लोग बदलते थे. ईच ड्यूरिंग पीरियड हमें होता था कि कोई हम नैनी हायर करने की कोशिश करते थे कि यूज टू हो जाए. मगर वो फिर nobody wanted to stay in Denver. मतलब ये कोई आते था कुछ कुछ तो एक दिन आए तो कहते हैं ये कहाँ पे हम आके, वो तो दूसरे दिन चले जाते थे. So it was a struggle. मगर उसका नाम क्या है, I was fortunate enough कि I used that my parents and my मतलब कि my parent-in-laws. So there were times when when Momina was like कि कभी बीच में अगर अहमद वर्जीनिया गए हैं तो वो भी कुछ दिनों के लिए वर्जीनिया चली आती थी. तो आई यूज्ड टू मिस हर अ लॉट कि भाई यार बच्चा. मगर वो फिर मुझे लगता है कि टाइम मुझे गुजारना पड़ा कि अभी मोमिना मेरे पास में भी थी. कभी बीच में 4-5 डेज के लिए वर्जीनिया चली जाती थी जब भी अहमद कॉफ करता था. तो अहमद की अम्मी वो वर्जीनिया लेके जाते थे तब चली जाती थी. तो मगर मेरे ख्याल से इन चीज़ों से बच्चा जो होता है ना वो ये नहीं होता कि मतलब कि बीइंग अ हाउस मतलब कि वर्किंग वुमन. आई डोंट थिंक सो चाइल्ड गेट्स like आपसे दूर नहीं होता या फिर आपसे कभी आपसे मुझे लगता है कि most of the women feel कि भाई यार are we giving, and there are times when I was doing my residency I used to have this, I used to feel कि यार am I मतलब कि I don't feel like I excel in any of these, being a mother or being a working woman, being at my job वगैरह. But then somebody told me you don't have to be a perfect person, perfect in every way. There's nothing like perfection. And मतलब कि I don't think so कि बच्चे आपसे दूर भी होते हैं. Momina is still like because I used to when I used to come home I used to give her dedicated time कि भाई वो है, मुझे अपनी सेल फोन की कोई खबर नहीं होती थी. I never used to look at phone and whatever. तो अभी भी वो ऐसी है बच्चे कि जो मतलब कि she's very much she's no matter जिसने भी पाला है मतलब जितनी वो मेरे से है अटैच वो किसी से नहीं है. And now she's actually more clingy than ever. अब तो उसका हो गया कि मामा जो है वो इसके साथ होती है तो मामा मतलब कि she's more clingy now since she's come. She's become even a more चिपकू person with me. So but I think it was वो उसके लिए भी बड़ा एक अच्छा था experience. अगर वो having grandparents was a blessing. क्योंकि वो जो है ना she never had the challenge of क्योंकि एक बच्चा अकेला होता है ना तो वो बड़े चैलेंजेस आते हैं कि बच्चे की स्पीच डिले होती है या वो होता है. मगर वो मेरे ख्याल से ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के साथ रही है तो शी became a very mature little girl कि वो she learned a lot from them. She was very caring. She's very caring and she's like very prim and proper and clean. मतलब वो काफी उसने सीखा अपने दादा दादी से. मतलब she never got pampered. मतलब कि उसका नहीं होता था कि वो पैम्पर होके खराब हो गया. उस पे वो एक बहुत अच्छा मुझे ब्लेसिंग लगी कि मेरे पास ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स थे. और अभी भी मेरे पास एक्चुअली आई हैव my parent-in-laws with me. So and they have been here since she's been born and now she's 6 months. So
माशाल्लाह. तो मुझे ये क्विकली बताइए जिन लोगों को नहीं पता कि नैनी की सैलरी रेंज क्या होती है जब आपको रखना पड़ता है यूएस में.
So it is actually a lot. So depending where you are from, in Virginia, I know you can get it from a cheaper price because वहाँ पे options बहुत हैं. But in most of the places like over here, या Pennsylvania वगैरह जहाँ पे इतनी options होती हैं, even in New York, I think it's above $2,000. It's like definitely above $2,000. And उसके अलावा I think it's more of मतलब कि they you still cannot guarantee if they like look properly after your kid or मतलब वो काफी होता है. बहुत कम अच्छी नैनी सिस्टर आपको मिलेगी. It's very rare. It's usually above $2,000. Most of the nannies would, that's what they commit for. And then they just only want to do a babysitting type job. बहुत कम लोग कुकिंग वगैरह या फर्स्ट टाइम को प्रेफर भी करेंगे या कोई और घर के काम करेंगी. That is how most of the nannies.
And that's what I say. It's usually typically 2,500 to 3,500. Unless you're in a big state like New York, New Jersey, DC, Virginia, वहाँ पे you can get somebody for around 2,000. अच्छा अब मुझे ये बताइए.
I think even New York City में भी काफी महंगी होती है. I think it's like above 2,000 definitely. I know for sure. वहाँ पे जितने भी I know families they have like above 2,000 for nannies.
अच्छा अब मुझे ये बताइए कि you took maternity time off during residency, right? How many weeks did you take off?
So you can only get 6 weeks off, but that is how actually I did it. मैंने अपना कोई third year में when I got to know I was pregnant, I didn't take any vacation मतलब कि जो 3 weeks वेकेशन में थी कि मैंने वो भी नहीं ली थी। मैंने कोई अपना जो सारा इलेक्टिव टाइम था या जो इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी, बिकॉज इन कैसिंग वी गेट अ मंथ ऑफ फॉर इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी और यू कैन इवन गेट लाइक 6 weeks फॉर इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी, तो वो मैंने कुछ भी नहीं लिया था। लाइक सो फॉर फर्स्ट आई थिंक थ्रू माय प्रेगनेंसी आई डिड लाइक rotation after rotation then after rotation, then फिर कोविड भी आ गया था, so we were asked to do even more floor time. मतलब कि हमें जो बल्कि होता था ना कि कॉन्सल सर्विस वगैरह जो होती थी जो आपको डाउन टाइम था वो भी नहीं मुझे मिला, because they were like okay come on like we need you guys on the floors and तो वो मतलब कि I had like throughout the pregnancy it was like one thing after the other. It was hard खासकर जून में जब I have to do the moving and everything, and I was like 7 months into it, and साथ I was on cardiology floor, तो फिर मुझे लगता था कि बहुत 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 टाइम हो गया था मेरे। I think that was the first time I felt exhausted beyond beyond exhausted. मुझे लगता था कि बहुत टफ हो गया मेरे लिए। फिर मगर वो वक्त गुजर गया था, मगर आई ऐसा सेड कि मेरा 6 week मुझे उन्होंने 4 weeks एज मैटरनिटी दिया था, 4 weeks मेरा इंडिपेंडेंट स्टडी इन इटसेल्फ था, तो मुझे वो मैंने कोई टाइम ऑफ नहीं लिया था बिफोर मैं, कि मुझे था कि जो भी मुझे हो कि कि आई वुड हैव एनी डिफिकल्टी, तो आई जस्ट सेव्ड ऑल द टाइम फॉर पोस्ट लाइक अपार्टमेंट।
सो जो मैटरनिटी टाइम था आपने ऑफ लिया था 4 weeks का, would that result in extension of your residency या नहीं?
नो, सो ऐसा सेट कि मैंने अपना कोई वेकेशन नहीं लिया था, कुछ भी नहीं लिया था, so it doesn't normally result in extension of your residency.
It does.
They just compensate.
That's why I asked, क्योंकि
because what I'm sure maybe I might आप सही कह रहे हो सकते, क्योंकि you know what I did, क्योंकि मैं ऐसा said I didn't take any vacation time, I didn't take anything.
नहीं,
so
that's
maybe they counted.
Geisinger IM is pretty good and supportive. बाकी प्रोग्राम्स जो है ना वो क्या करते हैं कि जो आप मैटरनिटी का टाइम लेते हो ना आपकी रेजिडेंसी उतनी एक्सटेंड कर देते हैं। सो इफ यू टेक 4 weeks आपकी 4 weeks एक्सटेंड हो जाती है 6 weeks दो इट्स इलीगल बट दे डू दैट।
No, but because मैं शायद इसलिए कहूँगी कि शायद नहीं, क्योंकि when I was doing even my observership in Emmett's program, so I remember Emmett की chief, the next year to chief resident, she was kind of the upper level during that team, and she was pregnant. I still remember, and she was the chief resident, and she took 6 weeks off, like, and Emma did it for Mount Sinai. So and I think if you see nahi. That's good. But MSc program mein, there were 2 other people who had like kids and they had 6 weeks off. Like as I said कि मैंने कोई vacation time भी नहीं लिया था, and I know कि apart from me जितने भी मेरी junior भी थी और मैं बल्कि Mount Class fellow, she had like 6 weeks off, तो उन्होंने तो vacation time भी अलग लिया था. To be very honest, they took vacation time separate. Like when I actually went and talked to my PD about it. मुझे था कि I don't want any further delays. I'm already delayed. So I would not take. So kind of my thing that it all overlapped also. क्योंकि मैं कोई vacation time भी नहीं लिया था, so I'm not sure what they included or not included. But I know for sure that there were people who did not even, took their vacation time separate from their, 6 weeks. तो वो भी उनको मिल रहा था. तो मैंने तो खैर उनमें से कुछ भी नहीं लिया था. मैंने कहा था कोई बात नहीं, वेकेशन से सब कुछ चला जाए, मगर I don't want it to be any further delay. तो मुझे 4 weeks independent study and 4 weeks of मुझे मतलब कि उसमें मुझे 6 weeks पूरी maternity leave. So I don't know if they included my 3 weeks of vacation or not. I'm not sure.
No, I think that's very from program to program, and it's like there are some good programs.
Yeah, maybe they are. But I think what you can do it in is that don't take, because in New York, you can take 4 weeks of vacation, and that I know for sure. And because in most of the program, in other school programs, you don't take only 3 weeks. So you can just plan ahead in that way. You can just, don't take your vacations that year, or don't do other, like, मतलब के जो आपके constant service, या फिर जो होते हैं ना कि elective times होते हैं, you don't spare that time or keep that time for, because you need that time more after, मतलब के बच्चे के बाद जाके उससे पहले. And I think she's had, even when you are doing your residency, मुझे याद है कि मैं sick days भी नहीं लेती थी. मुझे होता था कि जितने भी मैं बीमार हूँ, I remember one day I was in ICU and I was so, मतलब कि मैं इतनी बीमार थी कि मुझे attending कहते कि you're gonna die anytime, you just go home, you're gonna die anytime. So, but I don't used to take it off. मुझे होता था कि if I need that time off, कि बच्चा बीमार हो जाए, तो उसके लिए मुझे time चाहिए. So I don't used to take my sick days. तो मतलब कि आपके पूरी allotted like 5-6 days in a year, तो वो I used to just keep it for like मतलब के the days की जिस दिन अगर खुदा ना खासा मोमना वगैरह तो मुझे वो टाइम चाहिए तो फिर वो मैं टाइम कंज्यूम कर सकूँ, इसलिए मैं पर्सनल सिक डेज वगैरह नहीं लेती थी या कुछ वो डेज ऑफ नहीं लेती थी।
सही। सो व्हाट नाउ, अभी आप वेवर जॉब करें, पहला साल है वेवर का, राइट?
so I started
3
my
साल वेवर
waiver
करेंगे?
so I have to, मतलब कि मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन नहीं थी क्योंकि being off cycle I had no option except to start my waiver. तो फिर या था या पीसीपी आप पेपर कर लो या तो आप हॉस्पिटल से पेपर कर लो। आई एम नॉट अ पीसीपी पर्सन, तो मुझे था कि चलो I'll do internist. So after that I do plan to do fellowship because that is my goal at the end of the day. And मुझे है कि no matter it takes some time whatever जो भी, मगर मुझे पता है कि I cannot do internist or hospitalist or PCP for a long time.
Why?
I know I want to do a fellowship because I think I always, even when I started my residency, I always wanted to do a subspecialty. I feel that there is, more empowerment maybe in it. Some of the time being a hospitalist, whether you're in a tertiary care hospital or you feel that you are overridden by other subspecialty services. Like, if you have one say and you have another thought and it gets overridden. Subspecialty. So I feel like that you don't feel that empowered being just a hospitalist. I'm not saying it's a good job. It's a very good job. Like 6 weeks, 7 days on, 7 days off and everything. It's a good pay. And you do a lot. No, don't get me wrong. You do a lot more. Being in a waiver program, they in the COVID ka scene kharab tha. So our census used to go up to like even 30s. And we were supposed to do it. मतलब कि and actually guys think that the waiver program is very nice. But in most of the other places, the waiver program is like, उनको पता है कि आप 3 साल कहीं नहीं जाने वाले. So they just take advantage of that. So it's tough.
So there is something called hardship waiver. We will discuss about that. I'll explain you. There is an option for you.
Yeah, I know hardship waiver. So the reason why I did not qualify for hardship waiver because Ahmed got his green card.
Momina citizen, na?
I think Momina citizen. But yeah, but if your husband is, I think, when we did talk to a lawyer about it. So if your husband is a green card holder and even if your husband, it doesn't matter about so you can apply for hardship waiver. And we did talk to lawyer. We initially started the process, but then everybody told us, okay, you cannot. First of all, you cannot apply for 2 waivers at the same time. But if I hardship waiver applied kiya hai, so if that doesn't get approved, so I cannot apply for clinical waiver at the same time. So and people said it takes more than a year. So then we were like, okay, clinical waiver se bhi jayen, you have to start looking into waiver programs earlier than later. So we just left that process in between of hardship waiver. It might go through, but it might not go through. So let's just get into the clinical waiver process.
और आपने कहा fellowship करना चाहती हैं, कौन सी fellowship करना चाहती हैं?
So that's a good question. I love, which actually my husband raises an eyebrow on, is critical care. I always loved critical care, but the reason why I never initially thought about it was मुझे लगता था कि यार बच्चों के साथ बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा. So give me 1 second, let me get her something.
माशाल्लाह, सलाम है आपकी हिम्मत को. एक बच्ची ऊपर सो रही है, दूसरी गोद में आप उसे संभाल रही हैं, घंटे के इंटरव्यू का आपको मुश्किल से वो टाइम नहीं दे रही और आप अभी भी एक पर्म क्रिटिकल केयर की फेलोशिप का सोच रही हैं. लेकिन हिम्मत है, बड़े अल्लाह ताला ने बड़े लोगों को बड़ी हिम्मत दी होती है, एंड मोर पावर टू यू, एंड आई एम श्योर यू विल गेट इट बिकॉज यू हैव द bravery, audacity and courage to think about it, to make that goal for yourself.
I'm not sure if I'm going to get it, but that's what I know. So as I said, initially I started residency, I liked it. I liked it more than any other subspecialty. Magar, I never gave it a serious thought till I was in the 3rd year of my residency. When I met, like a couple of my attendings who were like, okay, why don't you do it? You have the thing for it. Why don't you do it? So they were like 3 attendings in a row who actually said that to me. And each time I used to say, मुझे लगता है बच्चों का मुश्किल हो जाएगा. So one of them actually was a woman itself, Raghad Hussain. And she was like, you know what? you don't have to do a full-time critical care. But once you do the critical care, you can always do like, 1 week, you can do 50%. If your husband is like earning and you're not worried about being the bread maker, then just do it 50%. You can do 1 week on and like 3 weeks off. So I was like, yeah, I never thought about it. Then I met another critical care attending Dr. Oh my God, what was his name? Dr. Palu. He was like, you know what? You can always do like, if you choose this, end of the day, chooses palm critical care. You can always do like a few days of consult. Like you never have to work like full time. So
Sudhir,
you can always, it's not don't.
Right? You're talking about Sudhir Panapalu?
Sudhir Panapalu, yeah. So he was like, you don't have to. Like, I mean, his wife was actually a PCD. But he was like, you have it in you. So why don't you have to like be a full-time person? Even if you choose to become critical care, you can just do a few days of like, outpatient palm, and then you can just do a week of critical care. So you never have to be full-time for it. So I was like, I was like, what? Maybe now it is. Then I thought maybe it's doable. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. To be very honest, I'm not sure because you need a residency se out into 3 years, more than 3 years. क्योंकि मैं बिल्कुल 3 years के बाद तो होने नहीं वाला because I have मतलब कि मैं ऑफ साइकिल हूँ तो मैं उस साल तो अप्लाई वैसे भी नहीं कर सकती. तो बच्चों के साथ I would have to put a lot of effort to be honest to get into it.
Go ahead.
So whenever I say that to my husband or anything that बाकी मैं if you want to do it मैं मुझे पता है कि if I might not, at least if I do not even try for it, maybe I would have that regret my whole life कि यार मैं कर सकती थी शायद मिल जाती. तो maybe even if I have to go a long way कि अगर simple मुझे पालन करने पड़े या simple नेफ्रो करने पड़े नेफ्रोकेट करने पड़े easier way तो I might give it a shot. अगर मैंने कहा मुझे क्रिटिकल केयर करनी है, चाहे मैं नेफ्रो करके क्रिटिकल केयर करूँ, चाहे मैं पालन करके क्रिटिकल केयर करूँ, मैंने कहा ट्राई ना मिली आगे अल्लाह की मर्जी है, but I'll give it my shot. मगर मुझे ये है कि चलो अब by now when I'm done with my residency, अगर मुझे
चलें माशाल्लाह, like seriously I'm very impressed कि आप एक बच्ची गोद में लेके उसके साथ सारा इंटरव्यू कर रही हैं and I truly hope कि आपको critical care मिल जाए. तो did you think you ever witnessed any lack of opportunities as a female in US?
I would not say that, to be honest. I would say that I would not say being a female you have lack of opportunities. No.
Were there any special challenges as a female?
As I said कि being a woman मतलब कि being a mother मुझे लगता था कि यार घर भी संभालना है, बच्चा भी संभालना है, हर चीज मतलब spot on होनी चाहिए कि घर भी like well kept होना चाहिए, हर चीज होनी चाहिए, खाना शाना भी मतलब क्या कभी अक्सर बनाना पड़ता था, बच्चे भी संभालने पड़ते थे, मतलब रेस्ट का टाइम नहीं मिलता था.
नहीं अब तक मरियम भाभी की दोनों बेटियां जाग चुकी हैं, so we have to cut the interview short. So I'm going to ask her a very few specific questions. Hopefully you can all benefit from it. So Mariam Bhabhi, you graduated in 2013. Now it's 2021. 8 साल हो गए, इतने पूरे process से गुजरी, बच्चों के साथ residency और कितनी difficulties थी. Do you think it was all worth it?
I would say yes. And I think the more I go ahead in life, मुझे लगेगा शायद बाकी में I did it right at the right time.
Sahi. And let me ask you this: if you have to do this all over again, what would you do differently?
I'll take my step 3 before my residency so that I could have been on H1. Oh, ये सब fiasco ना होता.
और yes, हाँ, waiver job आपको करनी नहीं पड़ती.
Yeah, I think you just take it. It's an advice for everyone. Take it before.
Sahi. And last question I have for you is: any advice for people in your shoes 8 years ago? कोई अगर final year की student आपकी interview देख रही है तो anything that you would like to tell her?
So I would say कि if you have it in mind कि भाई steps करने हैं और use करने, तो plan it for ahead. मतलब कि start it from the beginning. The competition is going to increase every year. Every year the competition would increase. Now we have been having more DOs वगैरह. तो don't think कि भाई time गुजर जाएगा, वक्त है वगैरह. it's going to get more tougher and tougher with time. Visa and everything is going to be tougher. So just start it from the beginning. Go ahead, give it your best, and don't compromise on score because of time. I would just say that. मतलब के and just try to make a good CV all over. हर चीज मतलब कि try to get it. आगे फिर definitely at the end of the day it's on to Allah.
So, anything else you want to add before we conclude?
Nothing. I would just say it's doable with the kids. It's difficult, but it's doable. So, it's something you guys like. You should not make it as your weakness. You make it your strength.
Mashallah, आपकी हिम्मत को सलाम है. देख लें, मतलब I asked you 10 times, do you want to cut the interview? Do you want to cut it short? Do you want to stop it? You're like, no. I want to wrap it up. So I'm so glad we did that.
Good time. There will be no good time. There will be no good time.
Thank you very much for doing this. Really appreciate that. I get to see Momina too.
Okay.
Hello, Momina.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Allah Hafiz. So I hope you all learned something from this video. If you did, please like it, share it with others, subscribe to the channel, and ring on the notification bell. Like I always say, never give up, never lose hope. Bye.